So that brings up this thing called elevator pitch. What is it? Why do you need it? Why do you have to build one? And this phrase, many of you might know, comes from that idea that if you're getting in an elevator, literally an Otis elevator on floor 1, and in comes the head of that company that you've been dying to redesign their corporate office, and her office is on the 10th floor. And you jump in and you were going to 3rd, but you're going to the 10th now. What do you say? Do you just sit there in the elevator doing what most people do? Not looking at each other? Or do you engage? And what could you say and do in 10 floors to get an invitation to a meeting or make an appointment with my assistant? How could that happen? Because that's a wonderful moment. You want to carpe diem, you want to seize that moment. So elevator pitch is really, you look at your worksheet, it talks 2 ideas. It's about a primer. It's not a transaction. You're not going to sell the whole deal in 10 floors. No way, you can't do it. But you want to start a conversation. You want to get them piqued, their interest enough that there's more to follow. Okay, so it's a primer, a business primer, if you will. I have another quote on there that talks about the opportunity to make a connection with somebody, to really form again a human bond, and to explore some possibilities between the 2 of you. So whether it's just purely a primer for business or something bigger, you've got 30 seconds to make it happen. All right? So to me, relationships, which are the really foundation of networking, happen in conversation. They start in conversation. You can't have a relationship until you start conversing and exchanging ideas. Would you agree? So really, the pitch is just a conversation starter, because we want to get them to say, if you flip over on the back, you'll see what you're shooting for. You want to get the other person to say, well, that's interesting, how do you do that? Wow, tell me more. You want permission to talk for longer than 30 seconds, okay? So that's when you know you've done a good job positioning yourself or pitching yourself or introducing yourself, when they ask you a question and give you more permission to talk, okay? So we're going to talk right now about relationships and conversations, and my job tonight is to help you start more conversations, all right? And I have a little formula about how to do that, and that's Mr. Abe. And I use this because I was watching people give their pitches, and some were really great and just compelling, and others were boring and flat and showstoppers. So what's the difference? And I found that it's these 5 factors that make the difference. And that's what we're going to spend the majority of our time tonight on. M for Mr. Abe stands for memorable, R is relatable, A is authentic, B is believable, and E is engaging. If you've got all those 5 things going for you when you introduce yourself or give your elevator pitch, you're likely to start a conversation that will lead to a relationship. Okay, so M, the M factor, means memorable. They must remember you after the event. Something you say or do or show them must be significant enough that they can tell somebody the next day about you. I met this woman and her name is, and she does, or gee, how was that bid event last night? Yeah, I met a lot of cool people. Anyone in particular? No one really stood out. No, everyone in this room stands out, and we want to purposely stand out. So your job is to strategically, intentionally decide what you want to be memorable about yourself. So what do you got to work with? You've got your name, right? Your name is your name. That's actually your original brand. Someone branded you when they named you as you came into this earth. You potentially could make your name memorable. Does anyone here have a difficult to pronounce first or last name? Okay, I know I do. Okay, possible idea for you is teach people how to say your name. That makes you memorable. Now for me, what's important for me, and I always try to make memorable, is my brand. My brand is Marketing Motivator, all right? It is alliterative, it's fun to say, it says a couple things, and people like it, and they remember it. And I know that because I test it periodically. And the first time I came up with the brand, Marketing Motivator, I told my friend Denise, just over coffee, and then she invited me to meet this restaurateur, this possibility of me working with him and helping him with his business. And she just said, this is my friend, Kathy McAfee, she's the Marketing Motivator. And then the conversation went on. She introduced me. I only ever told her the idea once. And she got it. So that's when I realized that Marketing Motivator was sticky. Okay? I have some people that have their website as being the memorable thing. So where's my friend that has decorator tag sale? Decorator tag sale, that's sticky. Okay, it's a website where she is selling off all the things that you all collect for your projects, and she's creating economic opportunity in that resale market. DecoratorTagSale.com, pretty cool, huh? Sticky, memorable. So you've got all these other things that you do, and you could tell them every product and service, but you may decide that that's what you want to stick. So no matter what it is you decide, you got to pick something. Not guaranteed it's going to work, but you want to have it a focus of your pitch. Okay? Got that? Do you have any ideas for yourself that you could write down? If there's something, what's sticky? What do I want to stick? Is it my category? Is it my passion? Is it my name? Is it my website? Is it my design center location? Okay, you decide. The R factor is relatable. What do we have in common? How could I bridge the gap between my world and your world, my age and your age, my experience and your needs? You know, where is that common ground? Okay, so this is the problem the accountants have. If they're an accountant, if you don't need one, then game over. So relatable is that you have to be able to communicate what you do in a way that gets the conversation going. So yes, you are all designers. Okay, and that's interesting. That's creative, and that itself can get a conversation going. But they may not be able to relate to a designer. They may have never in their life worked with an interior designer. They may not know what drapes are. You never know. You just can't take these things for granted. So how can you talk about yourself and your business in a way that they can relate to? So here's a couple suggestions. You can talk about the problems that you solve. So what problems do you solve? Right? You turn a boring room into a great room, into a statement. You can turn an office into a brand signature. Because an office is an office is an office, right? There's tons of offices. They're all places to work, but you are making a brand statement when you walk into that office. And it is either a statement that you want, or it's a statement that you had 20 years ago. So possibly what you do is you really solve and you work on a branding. When you're working with corporate clients, you're helping to brand them by creating a signature impression the moment you walk into their space. Idea. Okay, so that could be something that could bridge, that you could bridge. Another thing that you can do to create R factor is that before you say your name, you ask a question. And then when you ask the question, you pique their interest, and then they're listening to your name. So I'm sitting next to this woman. She, interestingly, is in all white and creams, and she stands up and she gives what I consider to be the perfect pitch. It went something like this. Do you remember that Peanuts cartoon? You know, with Charlie Brown and Lucy and Linus, and they're in the classroom, but you never see the teacher. But when she speaks, everybody hears wah, 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 wah. Well, my name is Tammy, and I'm a marketing consultant, and I help business professionals like you get the blah, blah, blah out of your marketing speak. Tammy, marketing consultant. Oh my God, good. I was so impressed. I was also terrified because that's what I did. And I didn't know what I was going to say, and I suddenly felt a little competitive with her, and I was so in awe. But she didn't say her name first. She first said relative, something that could relate to, and most of us have seen a Peanuts, Charles Schulz cartoon in our life, right? Maybe not the new generation, but our generation, yes. And so everyone could relate, and you could see it in your mind's eye, couldn't you? So that was R factor. It didn't have anything really connection. She's not a cartoonist, but she used a cartoon to create relevance. Now, what was relevant is wah, 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 wah. Who cares what the teacher says? It doesn't make any difference to me. Sometimes when we give our elevator pitches or we talk about our business, that's what we sound like. We even hate it. Wah, 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 wah. Right? So that's the problem she solved. She solved the blah, blah, blah problem. Now, I knew it worked because at the end of that networking meeting, this man came up to me and he said, I definitely need to talk to you because I've got some serious blah, blah, blah going on in my marketing speak. And I looked at him and I said, I think you want to talk to her. And he said, no, I want to talk to you. And what are you going to argue, right? So you have a conversation, and he ended up hiring me, and he became what I consider my best client. So you want to ask a question. So my question to you is, what question could you ask that could get someone talking to you, that would be relevant to what you do? Okay, the A factor is authentic, which is, are you really being you? Is this you, or is this Kathy McAfee telling you what to say and it's not really you? Because if it's not you, you're not going to have fun saying it, and it's not truly how you believe you are in your business or about your business. So you've got to be comfortable in your own skin. And I also find something really interesting when people start talking about their passions, they come alive. When they're talking about the stuff they have to talk about, they're kind of doing it like a robot. But when there's something that really grabs them, like that woman on the phone, I told you, it's when she talked about her grandchildren, she came alive. The business stuff, not so much. That's when the conversation got interesting. So I'm going to suggest to you that you put that stuff up front, that you talk about your passions and what excites you about your business, because then you'll be truly authentically you, and you will become more attractive, and you will attract the right kind of clients to you. Okay? So 2 things you got to ask yourself: am I comfortable in my own skin? Because you might be practicing your pitch, but it's just not working. Okay, so it's got to work for you. And I'm going to suggest that you put your passions into your elevator pitch. Okay, because then you'll be truly authentically you. Your B factor is whether they believe you're truly authentically you. Are you the real deal? Are you credible? Do you look like an interior designer, or do you look like someone who just rolled out of bed? Because they have to look the part. They have to look believable. So your professional appearance matters. Okay? So do your credentials. So your LinkedIn page. Do you look credible on LinkedIn or not? When you're meeting with a client or even a networking prospect, do you hold all your credentials in because you don't want to be too boastful? Or do you let people know what you've accomplished in your life? You're making yourself more credible. So there's a fine balance, maybe some humility in that presentation, but they need to know that you've studied, you've earned, you've been certified, you've worked with certain people, you know your stuff. Okay? So they have to judge it based on your appearance and how you handle yourself, and also what you say. Because you want them to believe what you say. You want them to believe in you. Okay? The last one is the E factor, and that is engaging or energized. When you network, you gotta have life force. You have to have some kind of kinetic energy going on, and most people network like this. They look at the carpet. In this case, the floors are really beautiful that we're looking at, but most of that hotel carpet is not. And the hotel carpet is not gonna talk back to you. So, they're very subdued or intimidated or they're anxious. I mean, all those negative emotions, they happen. But I want you to bring energy to your networking. And when you pitch yourself and your ideas, you gotta have energy. It starts with the face. Smiling. Smiling is energizing, and smiling not like this. Smiling with your eyes, really smiling, okay? So it's your body, right? It's what you do with your body, your face, your gestures. I'm also gonna suggest your voice. And while we have a Norton thing there, let's turn that off. The reason I think I got Dick Adams to come and talk to me after that networking event, my best client that I referenced in the Peanut cartoon, that perfect pitch, it's because I was sitting next to her, but my E factor was stronger than her R factor. My energy was more powerful than her relevance, which I thought was, I don't know if that's true. We'd have to have Dick here to tell his side of the story. But so this can really overpower anything you say. So maybe it doesn't matter what you say, it's just your presence that is such a magnet for people. If you've got that developed, good for you, use it. I'm going to suggest tonight, of course, that you get the whole package going. So it's what you say, how you handle self, how you present it, that attracts the people to you.